take it for granted that we live in the tropics, we live in Belize, we've been exposed to the heat from we're born, and therefore heat can do us no harm. But that is not the case. No?
Over the past few weeks, the summer heat has begun to set in. Temperatures are in the high 90s, which with the added humidity can feel like over 100 degrees. It is hot. And while you may think we should be accustomed to this as natives of the tropics, clinical care specialist Dr. Fernanda Cuellar points out that Belizeans are still very much vulnerable to the harmful effects of the heat.
We do have cases every year that people are affected, people are hurt, and sometimes even life-threatening conditions arise from exposure to heat. Any temperature over 40 degrees Celsius or 104 degrees Fahrenheit are temperatures that we should be very wary of, very concerned about, and we should try to avoid the exposure to these types of temperature. No? Yeah. And in some parts of Belize, the temperature can indeed go up high as that. And be mindful, it's not just outside. It's not just in the direct sunlight. People can be exposed to temperature in a room that is not properly ventilated, in a car, in vehicles. So you can be exposed to temperatures very, very high.
The most important thing you can do for your body on hot days is stay hydrated. Dehydration is the first sign that your body is being negatively affected by the heat.
Your body fluid content becomes less than it should. So you get dehydrated, parched lips, dry mouth, pee turn dark color, feel weak, feel crampy. And then you just start to feel out of it, no? Sometimes a little bit confused, quite focused. Those are signs and signals that something is going wrong. And there's no real liquid fluid that can substitute water. Water is the best hydrant, best fluid that we can use to hydrate ourselves. Some would argue that we need to get in some electrolytes, so that's why, for example, the electrolyte drinks can come in handy, the Gatorades and the Pedialytes. But definitely you can't go wrong if you drink good old water. One very important signal is the color for pee. Okay, if it gets dark or dark yellow, then you know that you need to step up your water intake. No?
While everyone should take precaution and stay hydrated and cool, the two most vulnerable groups that are affected are young children and the elderly.
In less than 4 years, they tend not to recognize themselves. I mean, they're babies pretty much, and their regulation mechanism is not as developed as it should be. And the old meaning over 65. So those are the two most vulnerable groups of people. Yeah. But again, people who have other diseases, no? People who have high blood pressure, people who have diabetes, people who take medications such as water pills and diuretics can become quicker dehydrated than other people. No?
While it doesn't happen very often, heat exposure can result in death when a person suffers a heat stroke.
Fortunately, people are rescued before that happens, but they would still need to be treated in hospital a couple of days with IV fluids, rehydration, and so forth. So it can lead to different organ dysfunctions. No? You can lead to kidney problems, for example. When your kidneys do not get the amount of fluids it should, then it leads to kidney failure, acute form, and it can affect other organs in your body too. So it's something serious, something not to be taken lightly.
Cuellar's advice is to stay out of the heat when you can, and also to take additional precautions.
Try not to be exposed in the direct sunlight or heat, like from 11 to morning to 3 in the evening. So even school should not have their kids out in the playground too much around those hours. Use light colors, use one hat, use one umbrella, those kinds of things, and just take it for granted that we big and bad here in Belize and we could take heat. No? Yeah.
Any specific amount of liquids people should be taking in?
I like to be practical, and I tell people at least one glass of water every hour.